Hey everybody, we're back for part two with season three, episode one. This is going to be a roundtable discussion between punk labels, power pop labels, indie labels, and right now I have Chris from Dirt Cult and Chuck Coffee from Snappy Little Numbers and Jamie from Reta Records. In this section, I'd like to talk as little as I can and maybe kind of steer it a little bit, but I want the label runners to kind of ask each other questions um, that they might be interested in, anything, whatever they might want to know about the other labels. Chris, you said you had something interesting to ask.
Yeah, so I guess this one's for Jamie. I was just curious. I mean, I think that this whole releasing records thing, the record label thing, is pretty kind of cis male dominated kind of thing. And I guess I was just curious about your experiences, running a label, not being a cis male, and what that's been like.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is thinking about how everyone always addresses me as if I was a male. Um, that happens all the time. And yeah, there's just kind of like a glass ceiling that still exists in the record industry, even like small time, on our side. But I'm excited to see more like femmes, more thems, more of that in the record industry. I just released a record where the band Haley and the Crushers, myself, and the person who made the record were all women. So Robin from Red Spade Records out of Toronto, she did the lathe cut. It's awesome. You got to check out her stuff. She does really, really cool, great work. Um, I think, yeah, there's just been like a glass ceiling there for so long, and it's time to smash it and get through it. And I really hope that when other folks that aren't cis males see me or see the label or hear talks like this, they're like, you know what, I could do that too, and I want to do that. And yeah, I want more of that because I love dealing with other ladies along the way, or like I said, femmes, thems, uh, everyone. It's nice to see diversity in the music scene and the music industry. And I actually saw like a really interesting kind of Twitter feed from one of the members of a band called the Garys, and she really kind of hit the nail on the head for me when she said, um, you got to think about why um, there aren't more women or non-cis folks in the record industry, and you got to just kind of try and make space for them. You got to ask yourself why, because it's not because women don't like music or women don't listen to punk or power pop. There's other reasons there. So it's time to kind of push that out of the way and just do it.
Totally, totally. Jamie,
I don't
you
know if
said
that answers your question.
Totally,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's true. And I think Jamie, when you speak to that there are other issues, it's not that women or non-cis folks don't like music. There are other issues there, and it's really become apparent to me. Like I really want to, I want to advocate and be a good ally for all sorts of people that want to be in music and want to do anything really. But I also don't want to ever be in the way or preach or any of that stuff too. And I just want to I want to listen and learn and understand what I can or what I also should not do, so that I can allow for people to operate and also be safe doing so. Because I know I've heard many stories, and especially as time has gone on and people feel more comfortable talking about negative experiences they've had. Being at shows it's not always a safe environment for some people. And, I've really learned, I used to kind of consider safety as more of a feeling, and I've been learning more lately that, I mean, you can argue about the semantics of language, but it's not that people feel safe or feel unsafe. It's that you either are safe or you aren't. And a lot of people aren't safe in some of those environments. And I really applaud so many people that are pushing to make sure that spaces legitimately are safe, and that people there are not abusing anyone. Even, some people are, little things that maybe 20 years ago, people thought it was no big deal to, pat somebody on the back to get out of the way, like just reanalyzing, body language and social cues, and just being truly respectful of other people around you. Because if you don't know them, you shouldn't make assumptions about what may or may not be okay, because the world's always evolving, and it's up to anyone that wants to participate to continue learning how to behave well and support others.
Totally.
Awesome. Jamie, you had an interesting question during our break that you thought of for I'm not sure who did you want to ask a question?
I don't remember. I honestly, I don't remember. What was it? Ryan, help me out here.
I can't remember.
I don't think you said.
I think we were just conversing openly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like what kind of questions. Oh, yeah, totally. Okay, so I guess this is for any one of you, but what is the best strategy when it comes to getting reviews for your releases? Because I found it very difficult to either get emails back or to speak with people who I have been told do reviews. And I'm not sure if that's because I'm approaching it the wrong way, or maybe because I just don't have a relationship with these people. But I would really like to get in the future the records that I release reviewed more. How would you suggest doing that?
What I was just, I mean, I don't know what your contact list looks like, but we were talking about like propping each other up earlier. You should shoot me an email, because I have a huge list, running list of kind of, reviewers who have, reviewed my stuff and have sent it to various people. I don't know if I've cracked that code either. To be perfectly honest, I think that it's kind of hit or miss, and sometimes you just find something or word something in a way to get someone interested, and then they start, once they've heard that, they're more apt to open the next email you send. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a PR person, and for certain releases where I'm like, this really, this band wants to do something with this, we need some PR, I got to go outside of myself to do it, but I think it just takes time, kind of, what Chuck was saying like earlier, just in terms of like, it's all trial and error, I think. And after, I mean, I've been doing this label for 12 years now, which I can't really fathom, but like, it's taken 12 years to kind of crack that code and build those relationships, I think. And you just kind of build on the relationships that you make along the way. But yeah, I don't know, maybe Chuck has some amazing words of wisdom. I'm not, other than offering you that list, which I'm happy to do.
I don't know. I don't ever know what I'm talking about, but it's funny because I did send Jamie a list earlier this week, and then Chris, I would also love to see your list.
We should combine them all, right?
Let's get a Google running this
going, yeah.
And I always do that with bands too. It's usually, or if co-releasing with another label, it's like a merging of lists, and that's a lot of how my lists grow too. But really, So what I do, for better or worse, is I'm still old fashioned. Like I set aside a certain number of physical pressings to throw in the mail, and I make sure I put a sheet in there that always has like the blurb about the label, and then a blurb about the release, and a blurb about the band. And I know that helps with some like Razor Cake and Maximum Rock and Roll usually review physical releases they get in the mail pretty regularly. But also what I've found, and what Chris says too, is sometimes, if bands and how active they are, or how far they want to try and reach with the record, you might have to go outside with hired PR. But I've also found, if there are any blogs or smaller websites that you enjoy following, hit them up. And then also, really, a lot of times it's this answer can start becoming a lot larger, but it's one of those things where sometimes there are more like niche websites or blogs that are more just kind of homegrown fan-based kind of affairs, and they're totally stoked that that you're following them and that you want to send them stuff, and they in kind want to like share back, and it becomes like quite an effective mutual relationship, and that you're both helping each other, but you become friends through it, and it's really kind of similar approaches to how you find bands or how you work with other labels, and that can kind of go with getting records covered too. And not like I have like 40 places that I could suggest where you'd for sure get some sort of coverage, but a lot of it is one of those. Yeah, I think a lot of people are like, well, how do we get in Stereo Gum? How do we get on Pitchfork? And my approach is usually like, well, you're probably not going to. So instead of taking the time for that, like hit up some of these other places that actually will listen to your record and write something beyond the press release that they just copy and pasted kind of thing. So that's just kind of my approach with that is, kind of, there's nothing wrong with aiming higher, but everything starts small in some fashion, and just as you might grow as a label, someone's publication or blog or something might grow because and then someone else that's influenced by you is sending them material, and then all of a sudden it becomes like a recognized thing that people are really enjoying, and it just adds to our larger community of folks.
Totally. And like I'm thinking about, the sites that I go to learn about new music. And I immediately think about like Faster and Louder blog, and I try and think about other sites like that. So if ever there's anything, I would love some suggestions, because, as a musician and a label runner, I love music. So I love good websites that cover, good music. And
Yep.
I think Faster and Louder blog is one of those ones that, everything that he writes about, I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. This is a good record.
Yeah, those are definitely cool. And I think also inevitably sometimes some of those larger sites you can get on if you go through a publicist, because they have those contacts. But then what I've seen happen sometimes though is whoever does that review then reaches back out to the label directly, because they're like, oh, so and so sent me this, and then you kind of, it's kind of all, publicists can serve a role to the benefit of many, but it's also one of those. I think sometimes people, I don't think anybody here, but it's one of those things where you kind of always have to be like trying, like as much as, even if you hire a publicist, it doesn't mean you get to necessarily like hit snooze on trying, because you got to be ready to follow up on what they do too. And so it's just always one of those, always stay engaged to the point that you're interested in, like don't let it consume your life, but definitely the more you do it, and the little kernels that emerge from it, it just gets a little bit easier each record, it seems like, at least in terms of like people um, having access to it. Doesn't mean you're always going to get a good reviewer that they'll review everything, but the chances definitely get better.
Right on.
I agree. Just that even with premieres, I think there's like 4 sites that I'm just like, they will do it. I've got a relationship with them. It's solid. But like Chuck was saying, if someone wants to be on Brooklyn Vegan, it's like they're not going to answer my emails. Like that's going to require like someone else to step in and help. Because I don't know. I mean, they've got a relationship with them that I don't have. So even I don't know. It's
So just
complicated.
like relationship building is the take home here.
Yeah. Think so. Yeah. I've also done things like, I mean, kind of similar to the point that's already been made. Like I've just picked like a recent release that I really liked, and I'll like just enter it into a Google search and see who's covering it, kind of add it to my list.
That's
I
cool.
don't know how fruitful that is really, but I mean, something kind of in the similar vein of what I'm doing can be helpful. Sometimes I put little notes like they covered this, so records kind of in that
Yeah.
style or whatever.
Yeah,
What's that?
that's a good idea. That's really good advice. Just to kind of like, yeah, check out who's reviewing what you like. I never thought to do that. It seems so simple, but actually like a really good tip.
That is good.
Yeah, the Google search for that it's brilliant. It's a brilliant idea. I would say that would be fruitful.
Totally. And I mean, like I know on like Bandcamp for I'm just talking about like my own music now, like for Pale Lips, like I can see kind of like where our clicks come from. So sometimes I'll hear about like someone who's written about us that I couldn't find through Google, just through like Bandcamp. So Bandcamp actually has some like pretty cool features that way too. I don't know if it's really the same through a label. I haven't spent too much time on the back end that way, but like as a band, as an artist, you can find some like cool stuff that you maybe would have missed through like Bandcamp features.
Cool.
Yeah, that's good. There's so many. I think there's so much you can do and try that it can become overwhelming. But if also remember that just to like stop and take a minute and remember that it's not the end of the world if you forgot to like try something, that you can just kind of piece things together. Because I'm like that too. Like when you say the Bandcamp thing, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to spend more time on Bandcamp learning how to use it, and then I'll start getting all stressed out, and then I'll be like, oh, but I don't have to do it right now. I just have to remember to do it eventually.
I feel like there's like a bunch of Bandcamp stuff that I have no idea about that are probably like very, very useful. I just found out how to send like Bandcamp messages to followers.
Oh yeah, I just learned that one last year. Yeah. And it's like, so easy. The community button that I never even bothered with. I was like, oh, that's what that's for. I get it.
Super useful. And I used it with Pale Lips the other day too, and sold some records and like got out like some information to people that I maybe wouldn't have known how to otherwise.
You got me with one.
I did.
Because I didn't know, because you were I had forgotten about that lathe, which reminds me, I got to find the Haley and the Crushers. I got to pick that up too, because I didn't realize that was out already. So
maybe
I think one of the things that I'm sorry, what?
I said, maybe you should wait until you get your package. There might be something extra in there.
Oh, okay. I will wait. Thank you. You're so nice. I will also say one of the most effective things to being in a band or running a label is just being a fan too. Like I have a lot of fun just being a fan of other stuff, and especially this last year without being able to engage on as many levels. Like it's really fun to find motivation or be influenced by, but I've really kind of like refocused my efforts at just being a fan and just enjoying stuff because I like it, and not thinking about like how I might implement it, but just straight up like, I love this band, I love this record, I'm gonna get this record label's cool. Like I'm not trying to be like them or anything. It's just enjoying like just being a fan. And I've found that a lot of stuff accidentally happens after that too.
Big time. And like, I mean, I mentioned, like I haven't been working since October, but all of my spare money that I have, which is not very much at the moment, goes towards buying like t-shirts and records. And yeah, I want to, you know, support as much as I can because I've had support and I want to, you know, pay it forward. That's like
Totally.
how that's how like our community works, right? Like, you know, we all help each other out and we have each other's backs, and that's
Yep,
it.
totally.
This was all very excellent. I'm sorry, I wish we had more time. But luckily there's 2 parts, and I was very happy to listen to you guys talk with each other. And hopefully you guys could share some of your own experiences and contacts and information. Don't be afraid to share it with me either. Because I want to be right there in the boat with you guys and gals.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I'm one of those people that there's room for everybody. That's my motto.
totally. Thank you guys and gals, and have a great night.
Thank you all
Thank you
so
all.
much.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.